Nolozi Kupa, Dwayne Toma, Deliwis, Nujayao, Madak Migog, Nagadezi Baig, Gamaj, Nulida Haz, Elibejia Yud Bemkiskak, Gamaj, Nulida Haz. My name is Dwayne Toma from the Passamaquoddy tribe. I am currently the director and the curator for the Passamaquoddy tribe, and it's an honor for me to be here with you today. In opening our conference here, it's customary in our territory, in our homelands, to be able to pray to the Creator, to bring us all together. So I thought it was very important for us to be able to stand, if we can, those that can, and those that can't, it's fine. So if we could just stand. The idea here is to come together as human beings, acknowledging each other in prayer. And I've selected a song. It's called Gigat Dazawagan. Gigat Dazawagan means healing. And when we talk about healing, we're talking about healing within ourselves and healing our mother, because she's responding, she's hurting, and we're all hurting because of separation. So I thought it was very important for us to come together and talk about Gigat Dazawagan. And let me break that down for you. Gigat Dazawagan in our language. And that is the reason why it's so important. Language, it's very important. It's how we view the world. Gigat Dazawagan means, gig means your home. Heal within your home. Heal within our homelands. There's a lot of things that are happening, as we know. And I want to take this time to acknowledge what's happening in the Middle East. The atrocities that are happening. They're very, very familiar to our people. We know these things. We've known these things. Those of you that know the history, we're talking about true history, not his story, or some of my colleagues say twistery. So it's real important for us to come together as human beings and Gigat Dazawagan. So if we could take this time to hold each other's hands in the spaces that you're in, feel that energy with one another. So if we could just do that, because we're all in this canoe together. So if we could do that, I'd really appreciate that. Thank you very much. Gijiji tunan? Kijijitunen Eliud Skijinwik Dak Mig. De Beltamo, de Beskadamo Kadig. Wulastagwig. Meek Markig. Bija Yurgilon Ktiotinen. Bija. First of all, we'd like to acknowledge that we are in the state of Maine, and we call that Turtle Island. It's been called the state of Maine, but we call it Jik Nakch Weemanik. Our people have inhabited this region for over 12,000 years. Let me say that again. Our people inhabited this region over 12,000 years. And we have a deep relationship with our mother. So there are 5 tribes. Those of you that are not familiar, there are 5 tribes in Maine: the Passamaquoddies, the Penobscots, the Micmacs, the Abenakis. And like I said earlier, we've been here for over 12,000 years. And the work that I do is to bring us together through an indigenous lens, through indigenous knowledge, through Uldak Ewagan. Uldak Ewagan in our language is ceremony. So I want to welcome each and every one of you here, and also the people that are virtual as well. I'd like to welcome each and every one of you. I want to speak briefly about some of the work that I do. Those of you that do not know that we are the Passamaquoddy people, we are known as the people who spear Pollock, the people of the dawn. I go around talking a lot about land acknowledgements and land back issues. I also talk about inclusiveness, as this conference is about including each and every one of us. I also talk about wax cylinders. Those of you that are not familiar with wax cylinders, we were actually the first indigenous people in the entire world to be recorded. And I want to briefly talk a little bit about that and tell you about the work that we're doing. We just did an international film on PBS. Those of you that are taking notes, to be able to look at some of this stuff. We did an international film. It's called PBS Language is Life, a Native America Season 2 on PBS. We'll take you through this journey about institutions having exclusive authority over intellectual property, as well as acknowledging that we were the first indigenous people in the entire world to be recorded. And I'll briefly talk about how that started. In 1890, a gentleman by the name of Jesse Walter Fuchs, an anthropologist, came to Calais, Maine. He was invited by an Indian agent. Does anybody know what an Indian agent is, by the way? Can anybody tell me what an Indian agent is? Nobody? Exactly. Did you guys hear that? A government agency that oversees the tribe. But it goes a little bit further than that, a little deeper than that. And I want to articulate that. In 1493, when the colonists first arrived, they first thought that these people can't govern themselves. They're subhuman. You never heard this history in your textbooks. It was designed that way. Subhuman. Red devils. Because of religion. As we know, it's all unfolding in the Middle East because of religion. And this is a sensitive subject for most people, I know. But guess what? We must talk about it in its proper context. Be respectful. Gichid Mida Hadmawagan in our language means respect. Gichid Mida Hadmawagan is the best thoughts I have for you. Gichi is the best thoughts I have for you. Is having the most respect for you. It's in our language. It's all designed that way. the extermination of our lands, our spirituality, our culture, everything. How do we come together? You may ask you that question. It's by building relationships with one another, coming together, acknowledging one another. And I am really, really, really so happy to be in this room. And I'm going to tell you why. Because when I got married, my dad, which is 87 years old, he said to me, son, because we had like 200 people at the wedding. He said, son, he feels like I'm at the United Nations because of the diversity here. I've never been there, been to a place where there's so many different people. But that's what we need to do, is put people in tables to make decisions concerning all of us, not just one group of race. We must start opening up these tables for others. When we talk about inclusiveness, that's what inclusiveness looks like. Because we can do this. We've been conditioned because of the narrative. We've been conditioned. So I also want to share a little bit of work that I do in rematriation. Those of you that are not familiar, it's bringing back our ancestors from these institutions that have exclusive authority over all of our sacred objects, human remains. As a matter of fact, I just went down to a couple of places here just recently to pick up some human remains. Not only are we getting our own people, but we're getting all kinds of different people. We've gotten 7 non-tribal members because of the way these institutions are not showing any respect and dignity to your own ancestors. And that is unacceptable. So we continue to do this work. And we have probably one of the best intellectual property attorneys in the country to navigate us through these processes that we have to go through and all these hoops we have to go through to be able to show dignity to a human being. But that's history, or twistery, excuse me. So it's really an honor for me to be here, to be able to share with you, the fact that we are still here, despite what's happened. And we're still continuing to reach our hand over the bow and embrace each other, because that is the right thing to do. Because when we come from here, there's a distinct difference coming from here. Let me say that again. There's a distinct difference when we come from here and here. That's why it's so important for us to come together as human beings, to reach out. All these different programs that you guys are doing, educating people, I think it's absolutely wonderful. And I want to thank each and every one of you for having me here today to be able to share some of old songs and old stories of our people. It means something. Because a lot of the times, just so you know, that door was never open. The door was never open. And because of collaboration, inclusiveness, coming together, breaking bread together, coming together, it makes me feel good to be in a room with such diversity. Some of you may not even heard of the Wabanaki, Squabanaki before. But your stories are our stories. Let me say that again. Your stories are our stories as well. And when we talk about inclusiveness, we talk about The salmon. You say, the salmon? Why are we talking about the salmon? As you well know, there are a lot of dams that prevented the salmon from migrating and doing what they naturally do. But because of all this stuff and power and domination, the salmon's voices are not being heard. But guess what? They're starting to be heard. We're just starting to hear the salmon now. They have a voice through us. Because what happens to the salmon happens to all of us. Each and every one of us. We're all directly affected. Because we're all connected. But because of power and domination, there's a system that's designed to separate us. We all know this. Pay attention. We all know this. So let's come together. Speak for the salmon. Speak for one another. Gigat does a wagon. Healing. Gig, healing in your own home. Gig in our homelands. She's responding. We all see it. Global warming. Everything's being affected. Everything. Hold the people in power accountable. Get involved. Step up. Be heard. Be counted. No matter what. No matter how difficult the atrocities are. Believe me, we know about atrocities. We know about resilience. We know about coming together. We know about culture, traditions, ceremony. So on behalf of the Squabanaki people, I want to welcome you to Chiknakchwimani. Be good to her. Be kind to her. And if you see someone not being kind to them, remind them in a respectful way. As an elder would say to me as we departed, they would say, Upjij. Upjij means, I'll see you again. And the other word he would say is, Wuli Bamusan. And Wuli Bamusan is a teaching. He's reminding me of walk in a good way. He's telling me in the language to walk in a good way. And that means how you interact with others and how you respond to our mother and helping her. She needs our voices, all of our voices. We need each other more than ever. So let's all get in this canoe. Join hands and get together and do the work that we're all doing and continue that work. So on behalf of Squabanaki people, I just want to say, Wuli Wun for the work that you guys are doing. A lot of times it doesn't get acknowledged. It's okay. Keep moving forward. So thank you very much for having me.